So, yes, that was...
Do you ask the students, do you give criteria for what they should put on the weblog, or do you leave it completely free? That whatever they want to do there?
Yeah, no, they try to put everything there. I mean, it's a diary. Because I told them that after 3 months of being on site, when you come back here and we want to start a post-production, you're not going to remember what you did in March, or what you did somewhere in April or this. So this site, which is weekly, minimal weekly uploaded, and they have to weekly give us an update of what's been taking place in that week, which mappings they've done. So you can actually download some of the mappings there. Some areas, of course, where the internet is so fantastically bad, they have very small sketches, because it's just uploading information becomes almost impossible. So we try to deal with, okay, what is your situation? How is your technical facilities there? The Indonesia group is being hosted at the UNDP headquarters with air conditioning and everything. The Ghana group is in some village, so it has no internet or no telephone for 100 kilometers. I mean, so each group has gone through a different experience. I mean, it's also good to mention that there's also the personal experience of 3 people who are in a foreign place who don't know each other, who are now 3 months every day together in a very complex and very challenging situation. We've had some bad luck. We always have some bad luck when you do these trips. The group in Venezuela, for example, on the first week there was robbed at gunpoint for €500. A week later, they were robbed again at gunpoint for €500 at another place. And on the same day they were recovering from that gunpoint on the beach, someone within 10 meters of them was shot dead. So, and they chose Venezuela because they thought it was the safest. Because according to statistics, it was the safest area that they could be in that northern territory. Because they were.
And how do you feel as responsible teacher?
Well, you become a father figure. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, they know that my mobile is always on. So I'm being called not only for what mapping should I do, but just I need to talk to someone. Or the group dynamics is a little bit friction that's taking place there. So you're playing multiple roles without a doubt.
But from an ethical point of view, if you would have known it in advance, would you still say, please, students, go out there and do this kind of research?
Yes. I mean, for sure. Because if you're dealing with what-if scenarios, then you start doing nothing. I mean, when we were in Mumbai, in Dharavi, for example, a year earlier, we also had a very precarious moment that took place. That people were basically videoing. The slums are all dwelled around the infrastructure, so a lot of train tracks. So people are constantly crossing the train tracks. Some of our students were filming about this life just near the train tracks. And as they were filming, someone got hit. And it was a fantastic moment for the girls who were seeing that. It was emotional, so we were there and we had to deal with them. And they picked it up. But you can't imagine what can go wrong. You better not be busy with that, otherwise you don't take any action whatsoever. So it's about an awakening to understand that life beyond these walls is a different kind of urbanization, a different kind of economy, a different kind of cultural development taking place.
But I see that you feel it as a professional working here, also to be a little bit of your responsibility.
Yes.
To improve the world.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason why I do what I do. I mean, for me is I ask students sometimes, or ask people, what is your local? If your locale is your political and geographic border, then deal with that. If your locale is the world you're living in, then deal with it. And if 80% of the world is living very different to our kind of locale, then there's an imbalance. So for me, it's interesting to take students and to say, okay, let's look at the bigger picture of the world, let's look at the bigger picture of complexities taking place, not to teach them the Western models of how it works, but to learn from them and to exchange. So we have technical insights, we have spatial insights, we have all of that. But there's also a lot of grassroots knowledge that we don't know about. And this is interesting because I've been now invited to 3 conferences since we started this. One of them was in London 3 weeks ago, called Development from Disaster, which means the theme of looking at grassroots initiatives in a disaster scenario is something that they're trying to learn from. So which ties very much in line with what we're doing. So we're trying to understand how do the locals themselves respond to a situation without the NGOs, before the NGOs, after the NGOs, what's taking place there, what strategies are being implemented. So we're trying to extract that knowledge, because there's a lot of knowledge down there we know nothing about. We've been living in these scenarios for generations, so we think that there's more for us to learn than for us to teach. Secondly, because Europe has a stronger overall vision, That's where we say, okay, how do you implement in your reconstruction? Because maybe this is a last point that I can mention as well. In the redevelopment phase, there is the first 3 years is called reconstruction, which basically is just putting the thing back together, which is usually done by Red Cross. They're usually done by UNDP. UNESCO is a little bit in there. These kind of parties. Now, there's no architects or urbanists in that field. It's just engineers who are coming with camp-like, military-like solutions into these fabrics. The UN Habitat takes over after the 3rd year. So the first 3 years is done by reconstruction, and then it comes up. Now here's the problem. UN Habitat has to deal now with decisions that have been made beforehand by non-architects, non-spatial planners, and have to somehow develop an area that in itself has built-in logics that are stopping or impeding it from going in a certain direction. So we're also, one of the things that they're doing is they're also doing an organizational mapping of who was where at what time doing what. Was there an urbanist at any point in the reconstruction consultant? Was there a spatial thinker at any point in the construction? So we're trying to say that we think, or I believe, that at that reconstruction phase, at that very early phase, that there's where you can plant the seeds for what the city can become, or what an area can become. And you need someone who has that holistic vision, who understands the urbanization process to be part of that, which is not the case as it's up to now. And this opening up is something that we also see taking place in the reformulation of the UNDP conditioning, is that they want to set up reconstruction till development as one unit. There's a lot of critique I also can understand on the whole NGO work, because the United Nations, big critique is getting, because it has so many sub-organizations that are all doing the same thing, fighting along with another for certain projects. So even there, I've come to understand that UNDP will probably swallow up both UNESCO as well as UN Habitat, so that they can have a single format. But this is also something that's in transition.
Okay, on that note, could I ask you if you want to sort of make a conclusion, or can we just open the floor?
No, no conclusion, no. Openings, no conclusions. I mean, the last thing I want to do is try to conclude.
No, your presentation.
Yeah. So basically, the openings are try to see where we can, how we can explore from this opportunity. Take it as a pilot, but also because I'm very much convinced that if you're going to do research that you want to take on for a few years, that you sort of build up some premises, some intuitive understanding and relationship, and that's why we try to propose this as a pilot. And together with urban emergencies and urban emergencies, it can become a very interesting platform for future research, with partners that are outside our own academic